President, this is an executive order on crypto. We're going to be, oh, sorry, we're doing it first. Sorry, Mr. President, this is an executive order on AI. We're basically announcing the administration's policy to make America the world capital in artificial intelligence and to dominate and to lead the world in AI.
Do you want to say your name, your full name?
Yeah, David
and
Sachs,
serial?
AI and crypto czar.
David is one of the greatest in the world at AI. Most respected, probably, there is. So that should take us to the forefront, right?
Absolutely. We got to win.
Okay. Thank you. And this, David, is?
Yeah, this is the crypto EO. We're going to be forming an internal working group to make to make America the world capital in crypto under your leadership.
Which is really going up, right?
Absolutely.
All right, David, that's for you.
Thanks, sir.
You find them exciting? They might not be exciting, but we're going to make a lot of money for the country.
Thank you, sir.
And so is David. You have to check him out. There's nobody like this guy. They said, how did you get David Sachs? How did you do that? And he's doing it for the country more than anything else. So we appreciate it, David. Thank you very much.
This is an executive order establishing a presidential commission, an advisory commission on science and technology.
Good. Do you want to explain that a little bit?
The basic idea is to get together top people from government, the private sector, technology industry, as well as educational institutions, to make sure that America maintains its leadership position with respect to science and technology development in the years ahead.
Good. That's great.
Next, sir, we have a presidential memorandum encouraging departments and agencies in your government, including the Department of the Interior, to promote federal recognition of the Lumbee tribe of North Carolina.
I love the Lumbee tribe. So this is the first big step, right?
This would be a huge step for them, sir.
Yeah, they were with me all the way. They were great. North Carolina, Lumbee tribe. Okay, well, you'll send them a copy of that too?
Yes, sir.
They were great. Okay?
And if you'd like, I could get them that pen, sir, as well.
Yeah, let's do that.
Next, we have a set of pardons for peaceful pro-life protesters who were prosecuted by the Biden administration for exercising their First Amendment rights.
Do you know how many?
I believe it's 23, sir.
23 people were prosecuted. They should not have been prosecuted. Many of them are elderly people. They should not have been prosecuted. This is a great honor to sign this. They'll be very happy. So they're all in prison now.
Some are out of custody.
It's ridiculous. Okay?
Lastly, sir, we have an executive order ordering the declassification of files relating to the assassinations of President John F. Kennedy, Senator Robert F. Kennedy, and the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
That's a big one, huh? A lot of people are waiting for this for years, for decades. And everything will be revealed. Okay? Give that to RFK Jr.
Yes, sir.
Okay? Okay, thank you very
Mr.
much.
Mr. President, a U.S. judge temporarily blocks the birthright citizenship order. Do you have any reaction?
No, obviously we'll appeal it. They put it before a certain judge in Seattle, I guess, right? And there's no surprises with that judge.
Mr. President, Senators Collins and Murkowski have now said they will vote against Pete Hegseth. Are you worried about his confirmation in your
No,
reaction?
and no surprises there. It's too bad, you know, it's the way it is, too bad.
And when would you adjourn Congress to make recess appointments, Mr. President?
Well, I'd take a look at that. I'd listen to John Thune. He's doing a fantastic job. We're moving along. The Democrats are trying to delay government, as they always do. They can't help themselves. Even John Ratcliffe, who's very, very strong, very popular, and liked by the Democrats. I guess he gets a lot of Democrat votes. That's taking a long time, and it shouldn't be taking a long time. They're maxing everything out so they can delay everything as much as possible.
Sir, Senator Thune support an effort to use recess appointments if you choose to do that?
I'd be willing to use recess appointments. It's up to John, and we'll see. And John Thune's a great guy, great senator, and knows his stuff inside out and backwards, but I would use recess appointments if he wants to do that. Absolutely.
Mr. President,
The Democrats are just delaying. They always delay.
Mr. President, you spoke with the Saudi Crown Prince yesterday.
Who?
The Saudi Crown Prince.
Yes.
How was the call?
Great.
And
It
they
was
said
great.
$600 billion they're gonna invest.
600. I'll ask him for $1 trillion.
You said you're gonna ask for $1 trillion. Will Saudi Arabia be the first foreign country you will visit since they invest in that much?
Well, if they do that, I would, yeah. I would be glad to do that. I did it, as you know, 4 years ago. We did $450 billion, meaning the money all goes to American companies, and they purchase jets and they purchase computers and everything else. And we did $450 billion, and I guess we're at 650. And I'll see if I can talk him into it.
I don't think it is again. You showed great confidence in Steve Witkoff. Why you said that you doubt that the ceasefire in Gaza will hold since you appraised his...
Well, no, I think he's great, but it's a very tricky place. It's very tricky. And we'll see. And if something does happen, they will not be happy.
So follow up on that one. In terms of Steve Witkoff, are you going to put him in charge of Iran strategy, and do you want him talking directly with Iran?
No, but he's certainly somebody I would use. He's done a fantastic job. He's a great negotiator. He's a very good person, a very popular person. Gets along with people. I have great negotiators. They have no personality whatsoever, and then I have some that do. Steve has a wonderful way about him, and people like him, and even in this case, both sides like him. And he was able to make a deal. That deal would have never been made without Steve. The Biden people couldn't make the deal. They were working on it for a year and a half. They couldn't make a deal. We got it done prior to the inauguration. We said it has to be before the inauguration. I mean, the deal should hold, but if it doesn't hold, there'll be a lot of problems.
Related to your AI, EO, just hours after you made that big Stardate announcement, Elon Musk tweeted that they don't actually have the money. Is that true?
I don't know if they do, but you know, they're putting up the money. The government's not putting up anything. They're putting up money. They're very rich people, so I hope they do. And I mean, Elon doesn't like one of those people, so you're allowed
Are
to
you
do that.
worried that AI is going to replace many American jobs?
No. It's going to create tremendous numbers of jobs. It's going to also create a lot of benefits medically for cancer research and other things. It's going to have a huge positive impact. And, you know, we want to be ahead of China. We're right now way ahead of China. David Sachs is one of the all-time experts, you know, that people are amazed that you just met him. I don't know if he's still here. There he is. But one of the most respected people in that world. It's a whole different world. And we're ahead of China now because of what I'm doing. And I think it's going to be very successful.
Mr. President,
Please, you just asked the Davos Forum again that NATO countries should spend 5% of GDP on defense.
Yeah.
The United States don't spend 5%.
Well, I
Do you think it
don't
should also
think so.
apply to the United States?
We're protecting them, you know. They're not protecting us, we're protecting them. So I don't think we should be spending, I'm not sure we should be spending anything, but we should certainly be helping them. But they should up their 2% to 5%, yeah.
Mr. President, you said earlier during your speech at Davos that you would like to see interest rates come down. How
Yeah.
much would you like to see them come down?
A
And what are you
lot.
talking
I'd like to
about?
see them come down a lot, and oil prices will come down. And when oil prices come down, everything's going to be cheaper for the American people and actually for the world, but for the American people. So I'd like to see oil prices come down. And when the energy comes down, that's going to knock out a lot of the inflation. That's going to automatically bring the interest rates down.
Are you worried that there's too much going on
You
at
said
once?
that you would demand
Are you
it.
worried that there's too much going on at once if you're trying to bring interest rates down and get the economy back going?
It just works that way. I mean, it's just economically works that way. When the oil comes down, it'll bring down prices. Then you won't have inflation, and then the interest rates will come down.
You said that you would demand that the interest rates come down.
Well, I would put
Do you
in.
expect
I
the
would put
Fed-
in a strong statement.
Do you expect the Fed to listen to you?
Yeah,
Are you going to talk to Powell about this and bringing the rates down?
at the right time, I would.
Sir, do you have any of the people you pardoned that were participated in the January 6, 2021 attack? Do you plan to meet with any of them or meet with them at the White House?
I don't know. I'm sure that they probably would like to. I did them something important, but what they did is they were protesting a crooked election. And, I mean, people understand that also, and they were treated very badly. Nobody's been treated like that, so I'd be open to it certainly. I don't know of anything like that, but I think they're going to meet in some of the congressmen, women want to meet. But I'd certainly be open to
Have you
it.
spoken to them since you issued the pardons?
I haven't spoken to any of them yet, but I know they're very happy. I gave them their life back. Their life was taken away from them unnecessarily and unfairly. I gave them their life back, so I can imagine they probably would like to.
Mr. President, what does it mean when you said that Biden took bad advice and not pardoning himself yesterday?
Well, he did. I think he did, because he pardoned all these people that are crooked as hell. Look, the congressmen, they're crooked. What they did is they destroyed evidence. When you destroy evidence, especially criminally like that, they did it criminally. And the reason they destroyed the evidence is because it proved that I was right. They didn't destroy evidence for no reason. They destroyed it because they found many documents saying that I offered 10,000 soldiers. If they had 500 soldiers or National Guard, there would have been no problem. If they had 200, that would have been. I offered 10,000 if they needed them. There would have been no problem. That's been now totally disproven. And it's also been disproven by Nancy Pelosi's daughter, who has her on tape saying it was her fault, that she has full responsibility for this. And they have all that stuff. They destroyed everything. And they go through a year and a half, 2 years of nonsense. They come up with tremendous evidence, and they destroyed evidence. And Schiff knew about it. That's why he's on there. He knew all about the destruction of evidence. A lot of people said he's the one that got him to do it. And he's a crooked guy, totally crooked politician. And so he's pardoned, and some other people are pardoned. And these are crooked politicians, every one of them. Benny Johnson, what he did is incredible. I mean, he was the leader of the committee, and he did it. Cheney, crying Adam Kinzinger, all of them. They destroyed evidence and deleted everything. There's nothing. There's no evidence now. They're crooked politicians, and they should be punished. If that's even in a civil trial, you go to jail for a thing like that. They destroyed every document, from what I understand, every document, because it proved that I was totally innocent.
Mr. President, to send up to 10,000 troops to the southern border. Sir.
Yeah. Oh, southern border?
Yes.
When
the
you say
border.
southern border, when I said 10,000 troops, I was referring to the capital.
Oh, I see. And
No,
when
you
is
got it
that-
wrong.
when
I
do
was
you
referring to the
when do you
capital.
plan to
I
do
offered
that?
10,000 troops for the capital before January 6th.
And as for the 1,500 at the southern border, sir, to clarify, what exactly do you want them to be doing right now?
Making sure that the border is safe and secure, and that criminals don't come into our country.
Mr. President, do you think that sanctions on Russia will force President Putin to negotiate?
I don't know, but I think he should make a deal.
Mr.
Sir,
President, does it bother you that Elon Musk criticized a deal that you made publicly, that he said that he tweeted that?
No, it doesn't. He hates one of the people in the deal. so-
Have you spoken to him since then?
No, I've spoken to Elon, but I've spoken to all of them, actually. No, the people in the deal are very, very smart people. But Elon, one of the people he happens to hate, but I have certain hatreds of people too.
Sir, Sir, on China, what do you think Xi Jinping can do on the Ukraine-Russia war?
Which one?
The Ukraine-Russia war, what can Xi Jinping do about that?
China?
Yeah.
They have a lot of power over Russia. They supply energy to Russia, and Russia supplies energy to them. They supply other things to, it's really a very big trade. It's a very big trading partner, but Russia supplies a lot of energy to China. China pays them a lot of money for that, and I think they have a lot of power over Russia, so I think Russia should want to make a deal. Maybe they want to make a deal. I think from what I hear, Putin would like to see me, and we'll meet as soon as we can. I'd meet immediately. Every day we don't meet, soldiers are being killed in a battlefield, and that battlefield is like no battlefield since World War II. That's it. And I have pictures that you don't want to see. Soldiers are being killed on a daily basis at numbers that we haven't seen in decades. And it would be nice to end that war. It's a ridiculous war.
You said that Ukraine's ready to make a deal. Did President Zelensky tell you that?
Yeah, sure. He's ready to negotiate a deal. He'd like to stop. He's somebody that lost a lot of soldiers, and so did Russia. Lost a lot. Russia lost more soldiers. They lost 800,000 soldiers. Would you say that's a lot? I'd say it's a lot.
Mr. President, you said that you wanted to make Dr. King's dream a reality. What's your response to his children and civil rights leaders who say that your DEI orders are a contradiction of his dream and could further drive racial?
Well, I haven't heard that.
Mr. President, you put the Houthis back on the terrorists. How do you see the war in Yemen?
Well, we'll see what happens, but they can't shoot down our ships, the Houthis.
Yes.
They're not, you can't shoot down our ships, or any ships, and that's what they've been doing. So they're on the terror list. That's not good for them.
Sir, why did you revoke security protections for former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo and Brian Hook?
Well, the same reason I do. When you have protection, you can't have it for the rest of your life. Do you want to have a large detail of people guarding people for the rest of their lives? I mean, there's risks to everything.
So would you support striking Iran's nuclear facilities?
Say it?
Would you support Israel, for example, striking Iran's nuclear facilities?
Well, I'm not going to answer that. Obviously, I'm not going to answer that question. We'll have to see. I'm going to be meeting with various people over the next couple of days, and we'll see. But hopefully that can be worked out without having to worry about it. It would be nice. It would really be nice if that could be worked out without having to go that further step.
And who are you going to meet with?
Well, I'd rather not say that, but very high-level people. But hopefully that can be worked out. Look, Iran hopefully will make a deal, and if they don't make a deal, I guess that's okay too.
And Mr. President, just to follow up, you said you think the Fed should listen to you. Can you elaborate on why you think it should?
With regard to interest rates?
Correct, yes.
Because I think I know interest rates much better than they do. And I think I know it certainly much better than the one who's primarily in charge of making that decision. But no, I'm guided by them very much. But if I disagree, I will let it be known.
Sir, your tariffs planned for China and Mexico are much tougher. The ones for Canada and Mexico are much tougher than the one for China. Why is it softer for China?
Well, China's already paying a lot of tariffs because of me. And when you add them up, I would say, they're paying a lot. They paid hundreds of billions of dollars. They never paid 10 cents until I came along. When I came along, they've paid hundreds of billions of dollars. Never paid anything. And so they've already started at a higher base.
Is February 1st the date for Chinese tariffs as well, sir? February 1, or was that just Mexico and Canada?
It's Mexico and Canada, but we're talking about China too. Look, China's sending us tremendous amounts of bad drugs, fentanyl, really bad stuff. Most of it comes through Mexico. And we're losing, I think, 300,000 lives a year because of that. People say 150, 100, 120. I think 300,000 lives a year. Those are old numbers. The lower number is a low number. And we can't have that. They've got to stop sending it. I had a deal with President Xi, but it was a deal that wasn't followed up by Biden, of course, where they were going to issue the death penalty to people that make fentanyl, and that would have stopped it. But we'll have to stop it with tariffs. Okay? Thank you very much, everybody.
Yes, sir. First, we have a list of pardons and commutations relating to events that occurred on January 6, 2021.
Okay, and how many people is this?
I think this order will apply to approximately 1,500 people, sir.
So this is January 6th. These are the hostages. Approximately 1,500 for a pardon.
Yes.
Full pardon.
Full pardon or commutation?
Full pardon. We have about 6 commutations in there where we're doing further research.
Okay.
Nice to see you again.
And you, sir.
So this is a big one. Anything you want to explain about this? We hope they get them. We hope they come out tonight, frankly. We're expecting it. Approximately 1,500 people. Six commutations.
Were there any cases you did not commute or pardon of people?
We're looking at different things, but the commutations would be the ones that we'll take a look, and maybe it'll stay that way, or it'll go to full pardon.
And the order does require the Bureau of Prisons to act immediately on receipt of the pardons and commutation orders. Sir, this is an
Why don't we get that down so they can get them going right now?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yep, absolutely. This is a proclamation guaranteeing the state's protection against invasion based on the current crisis at the southern border. It invokes various executive powers relating to the ongoing invasion at the southern border.
Mr. President, what makes you confident that those are not going to be blocked by the courts?
I don't think they will. I don't think they can be. They're very straight up. Why don't you take that and go over here? Can you get him over here? Not on the side angle. Do you mind? Just go right over here with your friends. Okay?
Sir, this is an executive order realigning the United States refugee admission program to better align with American principles and American interests.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. This next executive order is about protecting America from foreign terrorists and other national security and public safety threats. Again, crisis at the border, but it goes beyond that and it implicates other executive powers as well.
Okay.
President Trump, if cartels are now going to be seen as foreign terror organizations, would you think about ordering U.S. Special Forces into Mexico to take them out?
Could happen. Stranger things have happened.
Mr. President,
And that was actually
that Maduro would accept Venezuelans.
Say it.
How will you make sure that Maduro will accept Venezuelans?
Well, we're going to see on Venezuela. We're looking at Venezuela very strongly. It's a country I know very well for a lot of reasons, and it's well, it was a great country 20 years ago, and now it's a mess. Right?
Sir, can we expect ICE raids starting tomorrow in major cities?
What does that mean?
Can we expect ICE raids in major cities tomorrow?
I don't want to say when, but it's going to happen. Has to happen, or we're not going to have a country left.
This is actually an executive order designating the cartels and other organizations to be foreign terrorist organizations.
It's a big one.
Yes, sir.
People have wanted to do this for years. So they are now designated as terrorist organizations, foreign. And Mexico probably doesn't want that. But we have to do what's right. They're killing our people. They're killing 250, 300,000 American people a year. Not 100, like has been reported for 15 years. It's probably 300,000.
This is
So
an
you
executive.
just said Mexico doesn't want that. How are you going to deal with this?
I don't know. You'll have to ask them.
Sir, this is an executive order entitled Protecting the American People Against Invasion, which again deals with the southern border and the unprecedented admission of illegal aliens across the southern border.
What do you see the biggest national security threat to the U.S., Mr. President? What's going to be your priority on foreign policy?
Say?
What's going to be your priority on foreign policy? What do you see as the biggest
Well,
national
foreign
security
policy is a
threat?
big statement. I mean, my priority on foreign policy, it's going to be to keep America safe. Very simple. It's a big question, though. That's a very big question.
Who is going to be the first foreign leader that you plan to meet, or who will you call tomorrow on your first day?
I've already been meeting people. I've been meeting them. I've been talking to them. I met with Prime Minister Trudeau, like all Governor Trudeau. I met with numerous foreign leaders. Go ahead.
Sir, what might be your first step?
This next order relates to the definition of birthright citizenship under the 14th Amendment of the United States.
That's a good one. Birthright. That's a big one.
What about that one in the court? That one is likely to be passed.
Could be. We think we have good grounds, but you could be right. I mean, you'll find out. It's ridiculous. We're the only country in the world that does this with birthright, as you know. And it's just absolutely ridiculous. But, you know, we'll see. We think we have very good grounds.
Sir,
People have wanted to do this for decades.
Sir, this is a proclamation declaring a national emergency at the southern border of the United States.
That's a big one. A lot of big ones, huh? You know what that means, right?
President Trump, did President Biden leave you a letter?
He may have. Wait. Don't they leave it on the desk? I don't know. Oh.
What's in there?
Thank you, Peter. It could have been years before we found this. Wow. Thank you.
Can you read that on the outside?
Maybe we should all read it together.
Let's read it.
Well, maybe I'll read it first and then make that determination.
That sounds great.
Peter, thank you very much. I may not have seen this for months.
Happy to help with the passing of the torch.
I did. I left him one in the desk just like this.
What did you talk about at the moment?
Unification of our country. You know, I didn't know that he gave a pardon to his family because he did it during my speech.
He didn't tell you in the limo?
No, he didn't tell me. No. He did it. They released it during my speech. I mean, during my speech. So all I could do was say, excuse me, I'd like to come back and speak some more. So, no, we were surprised by that. It's bad precedent, obviously.
Where are you thinking on tariffs on Mexico, given these actions you're signing on the border?
Well, we're thinking in terms of 25% on Mexico and Canada because they're allowing vast numbers of people. Canada's a very bad abuser also. Vast numbers of people to come in and fentanyl to come in.
When do you think you would enact those?
I think February 1st.
Are you planning on giving notice of that?
I think we'll do it February 1st.
25% on both, sir?
Sir,
on each.
On each, yes.
This is an executive order taking a large number of executive actions to secure our southern border.
Okay. Sounds reasonable.
President Trump, we remember 4 years ago, Barack Obama had told you that the top threat to the country was going to be North Korea. Did Joe Biden tell you what he thinks the top threat to the country is?
No.
Why not?
I think we have a lot of them. Right now, I think we have a lot. I think North Korea turned out to be good. I was very friendly with him. He liked me. I liked him. We got along very well. They thought that was a tremendous threat. Now, he is a nuclear power, but we got along. I think you'll be happy to see him coming back.
And
I think he has tremendous condo capability. He's got a lot of shoreline.
Thank you, sir.
Are you going to work with countries from South America to coordinate on immigration?
About who?
Well, immigration in general.
This is an executive order. Sorry, sir.
I'm fine with legal immigration. I like it. We need people, and I'm absolutely fine with it. We want to have it. We need it because we're going to have a lot of companies coming in to avoid tariffs. You know, if you don't want tariffs, all you have to do is build your plant in the U.S. So we're going to have a lot of workers coming in, but we have to have legal immigration.
Do you have a date in mind for when you want to put in on the China tariffs that you talked about?
Which one?
60%?
No. You're talking about which? Say it again.
The China tariffs, the raw
China?
tariffs.
Well, as you know, I put on large tariffs on China, and they've really been forced to leave them. And if we didn't leave them, you wouldn't have one steel mill that's open in this country because they were dumping massive amounts of steel. We've taken in hundreds of billions of dollars from China because they were unable to terminate the tariffs I put on China because it was too much money and the budgets didn't work, and other reasons too. No, I mean, we're going to have meetings and calls with President Xi. I spoke to President Xi last week, as you know. Did you know that? I had a very good phone call.
But please start with NATO at this moment. Are you planning to meet your NATO allies?
No, NATO has to pay more money. NATO has to pay 5%. We are, we're in the Ukraine war by $200 billion more than NATO. It's ridiculous because it affects them a lot more. We have an ocean in between. And we've spent $200 billion more on Ukraine than NATO has spent. And they've got to equalize.
Did you talk to Xi about the Ukraine war?
Yeah.
Because China and Brazil together has a proposal to bring Russia and Ukraine to talk.
That's good. That's good. I'm ready.
When are you going to talk with the Brazilian president?
How did Brazil get involved?
Brazil's involved.
This is a new one.
When are you going to talk to Lula?
Are you from Brazil?
I'm from Brazil.
Ah,
When are you
that's why they're involved, I guess.
When are you going to talk with the Brazilian president? How do you see your relationship with Latin America and Brazil?
Great. Should be great. They need us much more than we need them. We don't need them. They need us. Everybody needs us.
It sounds like you will not proceed with additional China tariffs necessarily, depending on how talks go with President Xi. Is that correct?
What does that define that?
Well, we are asking, you pledged in the campaign potentially a 10% tariff on China or as much as
Because of fentanyl.
Right. So I'm asking where
That's only because of fentanyl. There are other things too.
Are additional China
And a very
tariffs-
big thing is the Panama Canal. China controls the Panama Canal. What's that all about? They're not supposed to be good. When Jimmy Carter gave it, which was a terrible mistake, he didn't do it. He didn't give it to China. He gave it to Panama. And China controls the Panama Canal.
So are China tariffs
And we're
still
not
on the
going to
table?
allow that to happen.
Are they still on the table or is that?
We're not going to allow that to happen.
Thank you, sir.
What can we expect of the countries in NATO that spend the least amount of money, like Spain, France, below the 5%?
Spain is very low. And yet, aren't they a BRICS nation?
What?
They're a BRICS nation, Spain.
How is
You know
that?
what a BRICS nation is? You'll figure it out. But, and if the BRICS nations want to do that, that's okay, but we're going to put at least a 100% tariff on the business they do with the United States. You know what the BRICS is, right? You
Yes.
guys know.
Brazil,
You know what
Russia.
I'm saying, right? You know what I'm saying.
But Spain is not in the BRICS.
So it's not even a threat. In fact, since I made that statement, Biden said, well, they have us over a barrel. I said, no, we have them over a barrel. And there's no way they're going to be able to do that.
This is an
So they are
executive order
risking
relating
100%
to...
tariffs, those countries, like Spain?
As a BRICS nation, yes.
But how
They'll
is
have a
that
100% tariff if they so much as even think about doing what they thought.
Can you explain how it's...
Which, and therefore they'll give it up immediately. So will China give it up.
So this is about reforming the system of hiring in the federal government to ensure that merit is the lodestar of hiring decisions.
Oh, as per the Supreme Court.
Other matters. Yes, sir.
Mr. President.
This is a big deal, merit. Our country is going to be based on merit again. Can you believe it?
Mr. President, you would say you would end the Russia-Ukraine war on the first day in office. Where do things stand right now, and how do you think that?
Well, this is only half a day. I have another half a day left. We'll see. We want to get it done.
This is an order creating and implementing the Department of Governmental Efficiency, known as DOGE.
Okay, that's a big one.
Is Elon Musk going to get a West Wing office?
No, he's getting an office for about 20 people that we're hiring to make sure that these get implemented. We have a problem in this country. You sign an executive order, it doesn't get done for 6 months. As an example, when we allow the J6 hostages to go out, it might not be approved under the old days for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 6 months. You know, they had a good ruling from the Supreme Court, and it's like nothing happened. That ruling was 6 months ago, you know that. And it was like they didn't have a ruling. They've been treated very unfair. The judges have been absolutely brutal. The prosecutors have been brutal. Nobody's ever treated people in this country like that.
Mr. President, are you commuting the sentences of anyone who assaulted a police officer on January 6th?
Well, we're looking at 2 police officers, actually, that Washington police officers who went after an illegal, and things happened, and they ended up putting them in jail. They got 5-year jail sentences. You know the case. And we're looking at that in order to give them a, we got to give them a break.
But is there clemency in your actions today for anybody?
Well, it would be a
who
part,
assaulted
that would be a part.
officer?
The one I'm talking about would be a part of it.
Should there be punishment for the people who assaulted law enforcement officers that day?
Well, I will say this, they've been in jail for a long time already. I see murderers in this country get 2 years, 1 year, and maybe no time. So they've already been in jail for a long time. These people have been destroyed. What they've done to these people is outrageous. There's rarely been anything like it in history, in the history of our country. And even people that were aggressive, and in many cases, I believe they happen to be outside agitators, but you know, what do I know, right? But I think they were outside agitators. There were outside agitators involved. And obviously the FBI was involved because Ray admitted the FBI was involved. Didn't he say 23 people, indirectly or directly, were involved? And it was then 26. That's a lot of people. Now we have, we got to take care of, these people have been treated so badly. It's never happened before. What happened in Seattle where they took over a big portion of the city? What happened in Portland where they burn down the city every day and people die? Nothing happened to anybody. But they go after these people violently. I mean, they're still going after brand new people. They found somebody else with a picture. There's never been anything like this. And you know, it's almost 100%. Think of this, almost 100% of the people are convicted. 100%. It's Washington, D.C. People go into a trial and they say, oh, I have a wonderful lawyer and I didn't do anything wrong. And they end up in shackles almost immediately and jail. No, we're not going to let it happen.
About Greenland, you have some interest in buying it, but is there any other option that will satisfy you?
About what?
Greenland, instead of buying it.
Finland?
Greenland.
Oh, Greenland. Greenland is a wonderful place. We need it for international security. And I'm sure that Denmark will come along. I think it's costing them a lot of money to maintain it, to keep it. The people of Greenland are not happy with Denmark, as you know. I think they're happy with us. We had representatives, my son had representatives, went up there 2 weeks ago, and they like us. So we'll see what happens. But Greenland is necessary, not for us, it's necessary for international security. You have Russian boats all over the place, you have China boats all over the place, warships, and they can't maintain it.
Do you plan to meet President Putin, sir?
Who?
Do you plan to meet President Putin, sir?
I'll be meeting with President Putin.
When do you think?
I don't know, I can't, it's being
Do you
set
know what
up.
your first trip might be, sir?
So the first foreign trip typically has been with UK, but I did it with Saudi Arabia last time because they agreed to buy $450 billion worth of our product. I said, I'll do it, but you have to buy American product, and they agreed to do that. They bought $450 billion. It was the least reported story I've ever been involved in.
And now, where are you planning to go now?
Well, I don't know. If Saudi Arabia wanted to buy another 450 or 500, we'll up it for all the inflation.
Mr. President, you say you were going
think I'd
to end
probably
the
go
war
there.
first day. How do you plan to end the Ukraine war?
Well, we're going to try and get it done as quickly as possible.
Do you want to push Israel and Saudi
It should have
Arabia?
never started. You know, the war with Ukraine and Russia should have never started. It would have never started if I were president.
Will you push Israel and Saudi Arabia to normalize relations?
I don't think I have to push them. I think it's going to happen, but maybe not quite yet. But they'll end up being in the Accords, the Abraham Accords.
President Trump,
I think Saudi Arabia will end up being in the Abraham Accord.
This year?
Could be, but soon, not in a very long way. Oh, look at that, it says TikTok. My, what is that all about?
First, we have Alaska, sir. This is an executive order relating to unleashing Alaska's potential as an energy reservoir for the entire nation.
And what about ANWR?
I believe that would be included in aspects of the order.
So we're opening up ANWR.
So
On the TikTok piece, President Trump, you and your members of your team now used to warn about the dangers of TikTok spying on Americans. What changed that you're not worried about that anymore?
Well, it depends on the deal. I mean, I may not do the deal or I may do the deal. TikTok is worthless if I don't approve it. It has to close. I learned that from the people that own it. If I don't do the deal, it's worthless, worth nothing. If I do the deal, it's worth maybe $1 trillion, $1 trillion. So if I do the deal I'm talking about doing it for the United States. If I do the deal for the United States, then I think we should get half. In other words, I think the U.S. should be entitled to get half of TikTok. And congratulations, TikTok as a good partner. And that would be worth, could be $500 billion or something. It's crazy. The numbers are crazy. But it's worthless if the president doesn't sign, then it's worthless. If the president does sign, it's worth maybe $1 trillion. So I think, like a joint venture, I think we would have a joint venture with the people from TikTok. We'll see what happens. I mean, that's one of many ideas I've had.
The CEO now, did he say that he's open to that idea?
Who?
The CEO of TikTok is around.
Oh, I think he'd probably like it. Because he's got nothing. I mean, they really have nothing. It's passed in Congress. It gives the president a right to make a deal or to close it. And we have 90 days to make that decision. But I could see making a deal where the U.S. gets 50% of TikTok, polices it a little bit or a lot, depends on them. But remember, they make telephones in China. They make all sorts of things in China. Nobody ever complains about that. Here they're complaining about this. There's so many different products made in China, and nobody ever complained about it. The only one they complain about is TikTok. And TikTok is largely young people. I guess I have a warm spot for TikTok that I didn't have originally. But, I went on TikTok, and I won young people up by 36%, Peter. And Republicans typically don't do too well with young people. But it's a different Republican Party.
Would the U.S. government buy a portion of TikTok then, or how would it get that 50%?
No, you'd take 50% of TikTok for the approval that TikTok can continue in business. And they'd have a great partner. The U.S. would be their partner. But the U.S. essentially would be paid for doing that half of the value of TikTok.
Would there be a private sector owner as
Could
well?
be, yeah, could be a lot. Tell you what, every rich person has called me about TikTok.
You wanted to block TikTok. Why did you change your mind?
Because I got to use it. And remember, TikTok is largely about kids, young kids. If China's going to get information about young kids, I don't know.
Are you
I think, to be honest with you, I think we have bigger problems than that. But when you take a look at telephones that are made in China and all the other things that are made in China, military equipment made in China, TikTok, I think TikTok is not their biggest problem. But there's big value in TikTok if it gets approved. If it doesn't get approved, there's no value. So if we create that value, why aren't we entitled to like half?
Sir, if you don't come in 90 days, will you shut them down?
Does Biden ever do news conferences like this? How many news conferences, Peter, has he done like this?
Like this?
None.
0.
And it would be 0 for the next infinity. For infinity, it would be 0.
Mr. President, when do you plan to talk to Elon Musk going to help implement the executive orders? I think you mentioned the implementation in your previous answer.
Elon is very busy sending rocket ships up to various places with lots of satellites on them.
What is your reaction to the confirmation of Marco Rubio, and what does it mean for Latin America?
Which one?
Marco Rubio as the Secretary
Marco
of State.
Rubio. You said Marco.
Marco Rubio.
Yeah, he's. I think he's great. I think Marco's doing a fantastic job. I think he's going to get a lot of votes. I think he's going to be at 90% or something. I mean, I'm hearing very good. People know him. They know him in the Senate. They know he's good. He's doing a good job. I don't know. I can't tell you. I don't know what's going to happen with that. He's got some very strong ideas. Now, Marco.
You signed
Mr. President.
Did you sign the TikTok order?
Yeah.
Yes, that was just signed.
Marco Rubio said yes,
Just signed.
How many
still changing Venezuela, changing power. Are you still committed with Maduro leaving power in Venezuela?
Well, we're going to find out about that too, because we're going to probably stop buying oil from Venezuela. We don't need their oil.
Another embargo like the first term?
Well, it could be, but we don't want to buy. We don't have to buy their oil. We have plenty of oil for ourselves. So
President Trump.
that'll change Venezuela quite a bit.
President Trump, there was a lot of concern about this during the campaign. A question that only works today. Are you a dictator on day one?
No. I can't imagine even being called that. No, I believe in the sanctity of the vote. The Democrats didn't because they cheated like dogs, but I believe in the sanctity, and this was too big to rig. This last election was just too big to rig.
Mr. President,
But,
when do you plan to
really
speak
the
to-
opposite.
When do you plan to speak to President Putin?
Could be very soon.
And you talked a bit about Ukraine and Russia, but how long do you think it would take to end that conflict? And
I have to speak to President Putin. We're going to have to find out. He can't be thrilled. He's not doing so well. I mean, he's grinding it out, but most people thought that war would have been over in about 1 week. And now you're into 3 years, right? So he can't be thrilled. It's not making him look very good. Now, eventually, you know, I mean, it's a big machine, so things will happen, but I think he'd be very well off to end that war. We have numbers that almost 1 million Russian soldiers have been killed. About 700,000 Ukrainian soldiers are killed. Russia's bigger, they have more soldiers to lose. But that's no way to run a country.
What did your TikTok order do, Mr. President?
It just gave me the right to sell it or close it. Essentially with TikTok, I have the right to either sell it or close it. And we'll make that determination. And we may have to get an approval from China too, I'm not sure. But I'm sure they'll approve it. And if they don't approve it, it would be somewhat of a hostile act, I think. But it's good for China if it gets approved.
Mr. President, you're not guaranteeing that TikTok will be around after 90 days from today?
No, but it could very well be. It makes sense for it to be, because it's got tremendous value. But if we create the value by approving, you know, in other words, that approval gives it tremendous value. If that's the case, then we should be entitled to 50% as a country. You understand? You haven't heard that one before, right? That's called a joint venture. And nobody ever thought that way.
Over your partner?
Well, I don't know. I think you have a lot of people that would be interested in TikTok with the United States as a partner.
Mr. President, what was it like walking into the Oval Office this evening?
Oh, what a great feeling. One of the better feelings I've ever had.
Do you like this town better now than in 2017?
Well, we're very experienced now. You would say nobody's ever had experience like I have. I've dealt with some very good people. I've dealt with some very bad people, and I know who the bad ones are and the good ones are. You know, don't forget, I was very successful in primarily the real estate business. And people used to say, who's worse, a politician or a vicious real estate developer? And I'd always say, you know, the real estate developer is far worse. But after about 3 months and getting to know scum like Adam Schiff and other people like that, I said, no, actually, real estate people are quite nice by comparison.
You said you plan to speak with President Putin soon. What about President Zelensky, and what's your message?
Yeah, I would, but he's told me he wants to make a deal. Zelensky wants to make a deal.
What kind of
I don't know if Putin does. He might not. I don't know. He should make a deal. I think he's destroying Russia by not making a deal. I think Russia's going to be in big trouble. You take a look at their economy, you take a look at the inflation in Russia. So I would hope, I got along with him great, and, you know, I would hope he wants to make a deal.
Mr. President, are you keeping U.S. sanctions on Russia until he makes a deal?
Well, sanctions or tariffs. I think the word tariff is much better because it keeps your dollar stronger. I think tariffs are more effective. I mean, I use sanctions on Iran. Iran was broke. When I left office, Iran was broke. They had no money for Hamas or Hezbollah, none. They were flat broke. And October 7th would have never happened. And I think you all know that. It would have never happened. They had no money. Now they're rich, but you know, they're weakened in a different way. I would say that the one attack by Israel really set them back. It really set them back. The pagers and others. You know, the attack on air defense was a bad attack for Iran.
What are you signing now, sir?
It's an executive order relating to reforms to the federal workforce, including to the senior executive service.
We're getting rid of all of the cancer. I call it cancer. The cancer caused by the Biden administration.
How confident are you, Mr. President, that you can keep the ceasefire in Gaza and conclude the 3 phases of the deal?
I'm not confident. That's not our war, it's their war, but I'm not confident. But I think they're very weakened on the other side.
Do you support the 2 states?
Gaza, boy, I looked at a picture of Gaza. Gaza is like a massive demolition site. That place it's really got to be rebuilt in a different way.
Do you plan to help rebuilding Gaza?
I might. You know, Gaza is interesting. It's a phenomenal location. On the sea, the best weather. You know, everything's good. It's like some beautiful things could be done with it, but it's very interesting. But some fantastic things could be done with Gaza.
How do you see the future in governance for Gaza?
Well, it depends. I can't imagine you could have, well, you certainly can't have the people that were there. Most of them are dead, by the way, right? Most of them are dead. But they didn't exactly run it well. Run viciously and badly. So you can't have that.
Mr. President, on TikTok, sir, will you pause any decision on Chinese tariffs until you know what the resolution on TikTok will be? Are those things connected at all?
If China didn't approve it, we could put tariffs on China. Don't forget, China charges us tariffs, and we charge them very little, except for what I did. I put a lot of, we took in hundreds of billions of dollars. But until I came along, China never paid 10 cents to this country. They ripped us off, and they never paid anything. But like, if we wanted to make a deal with TikTok, and it was a good deal, and China wouldn't approve it, then I think ultimately they'd approve it, because we'd put tariffs on China. Maybe. I'm not saying I would, but you certainly could do that. And if we said, well, if you're not going to approve it, then that's a certain hostility, and we'll put tariffs of 25, 30, 40, 50%, even 100%. And if we did that, I think they'd approve it.
President Trump, you've seen the other living presidents a couple times in the last few months. If you ever had to call on one of them for advice about anything that's going on here, which one would you call?
It's an interesting. Well, I thought Bill Clinton was a very good politician. I don't think he was used properly. I think they disrespected him. When Hillary was running, he came back and he said, you know, you better get up to Michigan and Wisconsin. You remember that, Peter? Every house has a Trump sign on it. And they all laughed at him because the Republicans hadn't won Michigan or Wisconsin for decades, long time. And they all laughed at Bill Clinton. Like, the hell does he know? And he turned out to be right, because I won both of them. And then we just won both in this election, too. We won Wisconsin and Michigan and every other swing state. We won all the swing states, all 7. They talked about 7 swing states. We won them all. So, but Bill Clinton he had a great political sense, I think.
You looked like you were having a good conversation with President Obama at President
I was. And you'd like to know what it was? Everybody wants to know. And I wouldn't want to buy it. But we were having some crazy conversation.
About?
What are you asking a question like that? You don't. I don't think you want to know. You might not. You might be insulted.
It's an executive order relating to holding former government officials accountable for unlawful disclosure of sensitive information. This next one, sir, is a declaration of a national energy emergency.
So you also
That's a big one. You know what that allows you to do? That means you can do whatever you have to do to get out of that problem. And we do have that kind of an emergency.
President Trump, at some point will you use your powers of the presidency to tell Americans who are concerned about drones?
Yeah, oh, good.
Ago,
Yeah.
what exactly
I
was
will.
happening? Can you tell us now?
In fact, I'd like to know because I just got here.
What do you think?
I just came here. I've been here for what, 15 minutes now.
Do people listening, because this is going out live?
And I got to read this letter too. Because of you, I found this letter.
I can read it for you.
It's interesting. Yeah, I know you would. Your father would too.
But is it anything these drones? Is it anything that people need to be worried
No, I think
about?
it's terrible. I would like to find out what it is and tell the people.
And can you commit to some kind of...
In fact, I'd like to do that. Could we find out what that was, Susie? Okay? Yeah, why don't we find out? Immediately. I can't imagine it's an enemy or there would have been, people would have gotten blown up all over. Maybe they were testing things. I don't know why they wouldn't have said what it was. They had a lot of them flying over Bedminster, which is interesting.
And with the events today and yesterday, was everything moved inside just for cold weather, or was there some kind of a security concern?
No security. Because they had everything shut down to drones. You can shut that down pretty easily if you're sophisticated. They're very sophisticated, these people. No, it was just cold weather. And we made a good move because, first of all, I thought it was incredible in the Capitol today. You know why I liked it? Because I got great reviews on that speech. I got great reviews. Can you believe it? They actually were fair. Maybe the fake news is changing.
Unleashing energy production.
Unleashing energy production. But I thought it was, I think having it in the Capitol is great. It's obviously, you can take care of the people you have to take care of. The city was booming. And if we would have done it outside, people would have been hurt because it was really cold. It was looked sunny. But when you stood outside for 10 minutes, people were running back in. It was really cold and really windy. The wind brings it down a lot. So we made the right decision. You couldn't have stayed. I don't think you could have had it out. You know how cold it was today. It was, people went out for a little while just to test it. They couldn't stay out more than 10 minutes. They all came back in. So we would have had a disaster if we did that, and people would have been hurt.
President, the unlawful disclosure video, is that related to the Hunter Biden situation?
Which one?
The one on unlawful disclosures by federal officials, is that related to
No, I think it's just more general than that. It's not Hunter Biden. I was surprised that President Biden would go and pardon his whole family because that makes him look very guilty. I could have pardoned my family. I could have pardoned myself, my family. And I said, if I do that, it's going to make me look very guilty. I don't think I'd be sitting here, frankly. If I did that, I don't think I'd be sitting here right now because I would have shown that you're guilty. But by pardoning his brother or brothers, by pardoning all of those people that he pardoned, by pardoning J6, the Unselect Committee, they destroyed all of the documents. They deleted all of the information. There's no information. And a lot of the information pertains to Nancy Pelosi because she was given 100, I mean, you know this, it's on tape with her daughter. Nancy Pelosi was responsible for not taking advantage of 10,000 soldiers or 1,000. You wouldn't have you could have used 400. It was a relatively small crowd. It wasn't the crowd that was at the mall. It was a small crowd. So I was a little bit surprised that he did it because it makes him look guilty. I mean, he's going to have to live with it. Now, with that being said, it's unbelievable precedent it creates for a president. But the precedent is unbelievable. Now maybe every president that leaves office, they're going to pardon every person they ever met so they don't have some lunatic like deranged Jack Smith, who's a total lunatic, by the way. Not a smart guy, he's a dummy. But we beat the hell out of him. And I helped my reputation.
Do you think you have to do the same thing at the end of this term?
Well, I guess now I have precedent to do it. I wouldn't want to do that, no. I think it makes you look very guilty. I think it makes Biden look very bad, very weak, and very guilty. And, I mean, he pardoned everybody. How about this J6 committee? Why is he pardoning them? The reason is because if you delete and destroy documentation, everything, they have nothing because they were guilty as hell. They rigged it. It was a rigged deal. And when you do that, they look very bad, but I was a little surprised he did it. Liz Cheney, I mean, she's a lunatic. And she lost by the greatest margin in the history of a politician running for Congress, like 40 points. The reason it was the greatest is because anybody losing that badly is going to drop out. But she's a nut job. She doesn't drop out. You know, she just keeps chugging forward. And she lost by almost 40 points. That's the biggest number anybody's ever lost by. But why would Biden do that? He pardoned her and pardoned everybody. The reason is that they destroyed documents. And if you're even in a civil case, which this wouldn't be, I mean, people go to jail for a long time for doing that. What's this one?
That's unleashing American energy, sir. It relates to easing permitting processes and other regulatory systems to ensure that we can produce energy efficiently to drive the American economy forward.
President Trump, looking around the office, we noticed some changes from the way that Biden had it set up. Can you confirm that you have added back the Diet Coke button?
I think this, first of all, I just got here. So my people came in. They have extraordinary decorator sense, right? Let me just see some of the pictures. Oh, that's a good one. I could live with him. I could live with George Washington, I can tell you. I can live with Thomas Jefferson. I can live with most of them. They took a very safe route. They don't have any bad ones up there.
Withdrawing from
What
the
is this one?
Withdrawing from the World Health Organization, sir.
Ooh, that's a big one. So we paid $500 million to World Health when I was here, and I terminated it. China, with 1.4 billion people, we have 350 to pay. We have, nobody knows what we have because so many people came in illegally, but let's say we have 325. They had 1.4 billion. They were paying 39 million, we were paying 500 million. It seemed a little unfair to me. So that wasn't the reason, but I dropped out. They offered me to come back for 39 million. In theory, it should be less than that, but you know. And when Biden came back, they came back for 500 million. He knew that you could have come back for 39 million. They wanted us back so badly, so we'll see what happens.
Mr. President, you
Pretty
spoke
sad to think of it. China pays 39 million and we pay 500 million. And China's a bigger country.
Mr. President, you spoke about inflation today in your remarks. What actions are you taking today that will have a direct impact for Americans on their everyday costs to bring the cost down?
The biggest thing and factor for inflation is energy. They screwed up my energy policy. And then they went back to it. You know, they hurt it really badly, and then they went back to it, and they started drilling more, but by that time it was too late. Many of these things that we're signing and that Doug Burgum is going to be signing, and Chris Wright, who's phenomenal at, you know, Energy, Department of Energy, we're going to be taking a lot, we're going to make a lot of money from energy. We have more than anybody else. We're going to make a lot of money from energy. We're going to make a lot of money from tariffs. You know, European Union charges us, they have a VAT tax of 20%, but it's really much higher than that. And that's the equivalent, almost the equivalent of a tariff. And they're tough. They're very tough. They don't take our cars. They don't take our farm product. They don't take almost anything. And yet we take their cars, or we take their farm product. We take a lot from them. So, you know, we have like a $300 billion deficit with the European Union. So we'll straighten that out with either tariffs or they have to buy our oil. The one thing they can do, oil and gas, the one thing they can do to catch up quickly, buy our oil and gas.
Will you travel?
And they should do that.
Will you travel to China this year?
Yeah, it could be. You know, I've had the invite.
Mr.
President, she invited
I would
you
do it,
to
yeah.
come this year?
Talking about the European Union and the tariffs, like, what do you mean when you say that the European Union country is part of BRICS?
That a what?
BRICS. You said BRICS.
Oh, BRICS. No, I was talking about BRICS. BRICS is 6 nations. I think it's 7 nations. and they were looking to do a number in the United States. And if they do that, they won't be happy about what's going to happen to them.
Are you still considering a universal tariff, Mr. President, on all countries?
I may, yeah, but we're not ready for that yet. We may wrap it,
Mr. President.
because essentially all countries take advantage of the U.S. We don't make any good deals in the U.S. It's amazing in a way that we exist. We don't make good deals. We don't have any good deals. We have a deficit with almost, not all, there are a couple, I won't tell you their names because I don't want them to find out about it because they'll feel stupid. But there are a couple of countries that actually don't make money with us. But I don't want to let you know because they'll immediately change that. But we're gonna do. I tell you what, our country has an amazing economic future. I really believe in it.
What kind of universal tariff if you did do one?
Well, you'd put a universal tariff on anybody doing business in the United States because they're coming in and they're stealing our wealth, they're stealing our jobs, they're stealing our companies, they're hurting our companies. So you put a tariff on to keep them from doing that.
Mr. President, you surround yourself with a whole bunch of billionaires today. President Biden, as in his farewell address, warned about an oligarchy and what are you to respond to that?
Well, he had a lot of guys, and then they found out that he didn't know what the hell he was talking about, and I think they deserted him. They deserted him, those same guys. Look, I don't make pretense of smart guys, but there are a lot of smart people around, but they did desert him. They were all with him, every one of them. Now they're all with me, I don't know. It's not going to get anything from me, I don't need money. But I do want the nation to do well, and they're smart people, and they have, they create a lot of jobs. And if they don't do it, China's going to do it. What they've done is they've taken industries and they've taken it away. They outsmarted China. And, we sort of like that. It's okay. They've done a great job. A lot of them, not all of them.
Protecting women from radical gender ideologies.
Ooh.
Mr. President, going back to the World Health Organization, you were the president during COVID. Don't you see the importance of an organization like that to coordinate a global response?
Sure, I do, but not when you're being ripped off like we are by the World Health. World Health ripped us off. Everybody rips off the United States, and that's it. It's not going to happen anymore. Thank you very much, everybody.
All right, guys, let's go.
One last one. So this is
Thank you. Nice to see you. Some very familiar faces. Well, thank you very much, and it's an honor to be here today. We have first full day as president. We're back, and we had a great first term, but we're going to have an even better second term, and I think we're going to do things that people will be shocked at. We're starting off with tremendous investment coming into our country at levels that nobody's really ever seen before, and they're very happy with the fact that I won the race and that they feel confident in their investments, and it's big money and high quality people. So my first day back from having a nice life, it's my honor to welcome three of the world's leading technology CEOs. And in the case of Larry Ellison, it's well beyond technology. He's sort of CEO of everything. He's an amazing man and an amazing business person. But to announce the largest AI infrastructure project by far in history, and it's all taking place right here in America. As you know, there's great competition for AI and other things, and they're coming in at the highest level. We're joined by Oracle Executive Chairman Larry Ellison, SoftBank CEO, my friend Masa Yoshi-san, and CEO of OpenAI, and I would say by far the leading expert based on everything I read, Sam Altman. So that's great that you're coming in together. That's a massive group of talent and money. Together, these world-leading technology giants are announcing the formation of Stargate. So put that name down in your books, because I think you're going to hear a lot about it in the future. A new American company that will invest $500 billion at least in AI infrastructure in the United States, and very, very quickly, moving very rapidly, creating over 100,000 American jobs almost immediately. This monumental undertaking is a resounding declaration of confidence in America's potential under a new president. Let me be a new president. I didn't say it, they did. So I appreciate that, fellas. But it'll ensure the future of technology. What we want to do is we want to keep it in this country. China is a competitor and others are competitors. We want it to be in this country, and we're making it available. I'm going to help a lot through emergency declarations, because we have an emergency. We have to get this stuff built. So they have to produce a lot of electricity, and we'll make it possible for them to get that production done very easily at their own plants if they want, where they'll build at the plant, the AI plant, they'll build energy generation, and that will be incredible. But it's technology and artificial intelligence, all made in the USA. Beginning immediately, Stargate will be building the physical and virtual infrastructure to power the next generation of advancements in AI, and this will include the construction of colossal data centers, very, very massive structures. I was in the real estate business. These buildings, these are big, beautiful buildings. They're going to employ a lot of people. And physical campuses in locations currently being scouted nationwide. They're making their choices of locations. I think they have their choice. I'd like to ask Larry, Sam, and Masa to say a few words and just talk about a little bit about what they're doing, and if you have any questions, and then we'll go into a couple of other subjects also. But this is, to me, a very big thing. $500 billion Stargate project. I think it's going to be something that's very special. It'll lead to something that could be the biggest of all. So, Larry, maybe we'll start with you, and we'll go down the line. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. President. We certainly couldn't do this without you. It would simply be impossible. AI holds incredible promise for all of us, for every American. We've actually been working with OpenAI for a while, and with Masa for a while. The data centers are actually under construction. The first of them are under construction in Texas. Each building's 500,000 square feet. There are 10 buildings currently being built, but that will expand to 20, and other locations beyond the Abilene location, which is our first location. The kind of applications that we're building, to give you an idea, maybe the most charismatic and the one that I think touches us all is electronic health records. Not just maintaining electronic health records, but by looking at electronic health records, understanding the condition of doctors, better understanding the condition of their patients, and being able to provide healthcare plans that are much better than they otherwise would be. A doctor in Indian River Reservation would be able to see how a doctor at Memorial Sloan Kettering would treat the patient, or a doctor at Stanford would treat the patient. We actually provide all of that information, all of that guidance to the doctors who are treating cancer patients or patients with any other kind of disease, made possible by AI. I'm not going to take a lot of time. I'm going to pass it to Masa, but this is a very exciting program for Oracle to be a part of. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Oh, thank you. That would be helpful. That's good. That's great. I feel tall now. Thank you. Well, Mr. President, last month I came to celebrate your winning and promised that we will invest $100 billion. And you told me, oh, Masa, go for 200. Yeah. Now I came back with 500. Because this is the, as you said yesterday, this is the beginning of golden age. Golden age.
of America. This is one great example, I think, right? We wouldn't have decided to do this.
I think so.
This is the beginning of golden age. We wouldn't have decided unless you won. And yesterday we agreed, we signed to make this happen.
That's great.
Because of this day.
Very nice.
So we would make this happen. We would immediately start deploying $100 billion with the goal of making $500 billion within next 4 years, within your term. Yeah. Right? Because of your success. So we are very, very excited to do this. And our partner is, of course, SoftBank, OpenAI, Oracle, and additionally investing partner with MGX. On top of that, we have the technology partner NVIDIA, and of course Microsoft has been very, very supportive to Sam and continue to support all our success. This is not just for business. As Larry said, this will help people's life. This will help solving many, many issues, difficult things that otherwise we could not have solved with the power of AI. I think AGI is coming very, very soon. And after that, that's not the goal. After that, artificial super intelligence will come to solve the issues that mankind would never ever have thought that we could solve. Well, this is the beginning of our golden age. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Fantastic.
Sam.
I don't have too much to add, but I did want to say I'm thrilled we get to do this in the United States of America. I think this will be the most important project of this era. And as Masa said, for AGI to get built here, to create hundreds of thousands of jobs, to create a new industry centered here, we wouldn't be able to do this without you, Mr. President. And I'm thrilled that we get to. I think it'll be an exciting project. I think we'll be able to do all of the wonderful things that these guys talked about. But the fact that we get to do this in the United States is, I think, wonderful. So thank you very much.
Could you just say one word? I hear so many positive things about what it's going to do for medical research and for solving things, cancer and all the different problems. How will AI help us with the fight against the various problems, diseases, etc.?
These guys can maybe share more about some of the work they're doing there. I think they'll jointly be some of the leaders about driving progress here. But I believe that as this technology progresses, we will see diseases get cured at an unprecedented rate. We will be amazed at how quickly we're curing this cancer and that one and heart disease, and what this will do for the ability to deliver very high quality healthcare, the costs, but really to cure the diseases at a rapid rate, I think will be among the most important things this technology does.
Be great. Very good. Thank you.
Can I speak and answer that question, Mr. President? So we're currently working on. Should I step on this? Okay. All right. No. I'm not that tall. I'm not that tall.
You look even better.
Thank you, Mr. President. One of the most exciting things we're working on, using the tools that Sam and Masa are providing, is a cancer vaccine. It's very interesting. It turns out, I'll be quick, all of our cancers, cancer tumors, little fragments of those tumors float around in your blood. So you can do early cancer detection. If you can do using AI, you can do early cancer detection with a blood test. And using AI to look at the blood test, you can find the cancers that are actually seriously threatening the person. So we can, again, cancer diagnosis using AI has the promise of just being a simple blood test. Then beyond that, once we gene sequence that cancer tumor, you can then vaccinate the person, design a vaccine for every individual person to vaccinate them against that cancer. And you can make that vaccine, that mRNA vaccine, you can make that robotically, again using AI, in about 48 hours. So imagine early cancer detection, the development of a cancer vaccine for your particular cancer aimed at you, and have that vaccine available in 48 hours. This is the promise of AI and the promise of the future.
Great, thanks. Good, great.
Thank you, sir.
We have no questions.
Yeah, just 1 second, we'll finish up. But these are highly respected guys. I was shocked with Larry because I don't even think Larry does this stuff. You did a very good job for a guy that doesn't do it much, right? But he's so respected, and the group, and it's really an honor. But for Larry to be here and do this is very unusual because he doesn't do this stuff. He doesn't need it. He does, and you don't need it, do you? Huh? You don't need it. But I think it's an honor to the country. It's a great honor that this group, these are the top people, that they're going to do it, and they're going to do it here, and we're going to make it as easy as it can be. A $500 million Stargate project comes in addition to a separate pledge between $100 and $200 billion from, as we know, from Massa, we talked about before. Also $20 billion from DMAC, which was great. And we have many others that are coming. Some I just announce it. It's easier, but with some, I know them, and they're so highly respected, I'd rather do it this way. Many would like to do it this way, but we're letting the world know what's happening. This is money that normally would have gone to China or other countries, but in particular China. In total, before the end of my first full business day in Washington in the White House, we've already secured nearly $3 trillion of new investments in the United States, and probably that's going to be 6 or 7 by the end of the week. Tremendous amounts of money are coming in for many things other than even AI. AI seems to be very hot. It seems to be the thing that a lot of smart people are looking at very strongly. And our country will be prospering like never before. I think that's true, and it's going to be the golden age of America. As I say, yesterday we had the most ambitious, action-oriented day of any administration in history. No, there's never been a first day like yesterday, as you know. I signed a sweeping slate of executive orders to stop the invasion of our borders. I launched a government-wide effort to defeat inflation and bring down the cost of daily life and bring down the cost of energy, magnificently bring it down. And when energy comes down, Larry, I'd say generally speaking, when energy comes down, everything else comes down. The prices of food and the prices of everything else come down. Energy is that's the big baby. And we declared a national energy emergency to drill, baby, drill, our term that we use. We're going to drill, baby, drill like never before. We ended destructive DEI mandates across the federal government and returned our country to a merit-based system and a common sense system. As you know, the Supreme Court gave us a decision on merit, where things in this country can be based on merit now instead of a lot of different rules, regulations, and things that really put our country at a big disadvantage. We permanently stopped government censorship and restored free speech. That was signed yesterday. We renamed the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America. Sounds so beautiful, the Gulf of America, and returned the name of a great president, William McKinley, to Mount McKinley. They took off the name, and he was actually a great president. He was a very, very successful businessman. He ran for governor of Ohio. He won and did a great job as governor, ran for president, and he won. He was assassinated, ultimately, in his second term, unfortunately. But he was the tariff king, and I don't think he was as bad as I am. I think I believe in him even more than him, but he believed in him very strongly. And he raised massive amounts of money. Our country was at its richest from 1870 to 1913. We had the most. That was when we were the richest, relatively speaking. We were the richest during that period of time. That was tariffs from other countries. And our administration's moving with unprecedented urgency and speed to confront every single crisis facing us, and we'll get the job done. And again, I want to thank Sam and Masa and Larry for being here. It's an honor to have them. And we'll take a few questions if you want.
About some of the executive orders, you would agree that it's never acceptable to assault a police officer.
Sure.
Right? So then if I can, among those you pardoned DJ Rodriguez. He drove a stun gun into the neck of a DC police officer who was abducted by the mob that day. He later confessed on video to the FBI and pleaded guilty for his crimes. Why does he deserve a pardon?
Well, I don't know. Was it a pardon? Because we're looking at commutes and we're looking at pardons. Okay, well, we'll take a look at everything. But I can say this. Murderers today are not even charged. You have murderers that aren't charged all over. You take a look at what's gone on in Philadelphia, take a look at what's gone on in LA, where people murder people and they don't get charged. These people have already served years in prison, and they've served them viciously. It's a disgusting prison. It's been horrible. It's inhumane. It's been a terrible, terrible thing. I also say this, you go to Portland, where they wrapped police officers, shot police officers, nothing happened to anybody. You go to Seattle, where they took over a big chunk of the city and people died. Portland, a lot of people died. Wait a minute. And you go also, take a look at Minneapolis, because I was there and I watched it. And if I didn't bring in the National Guard, that city wouldn't even exist today. People were killed and nobody went to jail. So these people have already served a long period of time, and I made a decision to give a pardon. Joe Biden gave a pardon yesterday to a lot of criminals. These are criminals that he gave a pardon to, and you should be asking that question. Why did he give a pardon to all of these people that committed crimes? Why did he give a pardon to the J6 Unselect Committee when they burned and destroyed all documents which showed that they did what was wrong, not me? Wait a minute. Why did they give a pardon to all of his relatives? His brother, who made millions of dollars, to all these different people, he gave pardons. That's the question you should be answering. All right, go ahead. Yeah, please.
Can I just follow up really fast? Steve, can I just follow up on that really fast?
No. That's enough. Go ahead.
You said you will.
Tell us about your meeting with Speaker Johnson, Senator Thune. Did you reach any conclusion on this one big?
Pretty much. I think we have a good situation now. It's been in some ways made simpler by Los Angeles because they're going to need a lot of money. And generally speaking, I think you'll find that a lot of Democrats are going to be asking for help. So I think maybe that makes it more one-sided. I think we're going to do very well. Look, we're going to take care of Los Angeles. I'm going there. I'm going to North Carolina, which has been abandoned by the Democrats. And I'm going to North Carolina, very importantly, first. I'll be there on Friday. And then I'm going from there to Los Angeles. And then I'm going to Nevada. And I'm really going to Nevada to thank them for the vote, because we won Nevada overwhelmingly, and that's usually a Democrat vote. And I just want to go there to thank the people of Nevada for the big vote. So we'll be making that. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, the leaders of the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers were freed following their pardons yesterday. At the time, back in 2021, you urged them to stand back and stand by. Is there now a place for them in the political conversation?
Well, we have to see. They've been given a pardon. I thought their sentences were ridiculous and excessive. One of the guys took down a flag that was an anti-American flag, and he was given years in jail. I don't know the exact number, but he was given many years in jail. I thought it was very excessive. And at least the cases that we looked at, these were people that actually love our country, so we thought a pardon would be appropriate, yeah.
Mr. President, is it also true in your conversations with Republicans today that you asked them to consider recess appointments for cabinet officials?
I think, yeah, if it's needed. I don't think it's going to be needed. Marco, as you know, got passed overwhelmingly with 99-0, which is pretty amazing. Marco's going to do a great job, Secretary of State, but he just got, I guess he was the first one and just got approved. That's some vote, 99-0, and the nothing was a vote that he would have gotten if we wanted to do it. But you know whose vote that was, who's doing a great job right now as vice president.
Did you also talk about some sort of a trade or a deal involving wildfire relief in extension for a debt?
Well, what I really want to have done, I was talking about this with the guys back in the Oval Office. Los Angeles has massive amounts of water available to it. All they have to do is turn the valve, and that's the valve coming back from and down from the Pacific Northwest, where millions of gallons of water a week and a day, even in many cases, pours into California, goes all through California down to Los Angeles, and they turned it off. It's off now. The valve goes, it turns toward the Pacific Ocean, and all that water goes pouring into the Pacific Ocean. If they did what I told them to do, they wouldn't do it because politically they didn't think it was good. I think it's great politically. I think they're dead politically. What they've done, they've destroyed the city. What they've done to that city is unbelievable. The sprinklers, their sprinklers in there like these right here that you see, none of them had any water in them. They didn't have any water. The fire hydrants, 40% of them had no water. The brush was just dry. Everything was dry. The sprinklers on the lawn weren't allowed to even be used. So, you know, everything was dry, and it was an inferno. They created an inferno. So we're demanding that they turn the valve back toward Los Angeles right now. It's not even believable that they haven't done it. Just so you know, they have a valve, and it turns like, think of a sink, but multiply it times many thousands of times the size of it. It's massive. And you turn it back toward Los Angeles. Why aren't they doing it? They either have a death wish, they're stupid, or there's something else going on that we don't understand. But we want the water that they're throwing away to be used for California. And that includes the farmers of California. You know, when you drive up north, you see all of the land. I couldn't believe it. I was with Devin Nunes when he was a congressman and some other congressmen from the area, and we're driving up and we're on the highway, and I keep looking at these farms, and the land is bone dry, and then you'd see an acre, about an acre or 2 acres, with the most beautiful green plants growing in it, the most beautiful it's rich stuff. And you look at the soil, and it's so rich. That soil is almost the equivalent to like Iowa soil. It's phenomenal, but it's got no water. But the reason it has no water, I said, do you have a drought? No. I said, what do you mean you don't have a drought? Look at the thing. It's dry as a bone. The reason you have like an acre is because they say you can farm 1 acre, but no more, because they didn't want to waste water. But they throw the water into the Pacific Ocean. These people